Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Dad Bods, Crab Cakes, and Sports, where us overweight middle-aged fellows discuss the latest and greatest Baltimore sports news. I don't know about you, John, but I gained some weight this weekend over some stress eating Monday night, watching some Monday Night Football. But you know, those Ravens have got me in the old Hunger Games, so to speak, with my appetite. How about you?
Absolutely. It just tore me to pieces because we just 20 missed tackles. 20 missed tackles. And then our offensive line and I felt sick yesterday. So watching the game didn't help me.
Well, I mean, I bet you felt sick from watching it, and you probably got
Well,
strep throat from yelling at the television, is my guess. Because I said some choice words, like I told you guys before. I try to hold my temper, but at some points I yell these things that I don't even know where they come from my mouth, and I'm like, I need to pull those back in and be a good father role model and not say these things at the television. So the kids all go to bed and shut their doors, and Julie shuts their door, and I watch primetime football all by myself these days.
yeah, I got strep throat Labor Day, and I guess it just never went away. So, like, I've been suffering from a sore throat for about 5 days, and I thought, well, man, it's probably just sinuses. Nope. Did televisit today, and she's like, "Yeah, you probably didn't get knocked out, so you had to take more pills." And then, of course, the pharmacy by my house doesn't have them, so I had to drive 20 minutes away to the only pharmacy that had them. So after work tonight, that's not exactly what I wanted to do.
Well, hopefully the medication helps because I know strep and it lingers too. I was just talking to, one of my coaches, their daughter had strep and they've had it 3 times recurring over the last maybe month and a half. I don't know if that's similar to what you've got going on, but a lot of the stuff they say is it stays on your toothbrush. So you got to get rid of your toothbrush or sanitize it maybe or soak it in Listerine or something. And then they also say that, it can live in those water bottle lids if you drink out of those water bottles where pop open and they shut. So you got to boil hot water and that kind of stuff and sanitize those as well, or else the strep can linger there and cause a recurrence of it.
Yeah, I'm a carrier of something, so that like I hear that my body hears strep and I
Yeah,
get it. And the doctor said, yeah, the taking your tonsils
it
out
lives
won't
in
do
your
anything.
tonsils or something. Yeah,
Yeah, something like that. So anyway, and then
I just
I'm
love talking
allergic
about your
to.
tonsils, John. That's going to keep our listeners on the edge of their seats, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm allergic to amoxicillin, so they got to find other drugs to knock it out. So that's a HIPAA violation on myself.
I don't think that's a thing. I think you're
Ask
allowed to share
Julie.
whatever you'd like about yourself. Yeah, Julie might be able to say that's not true. I don't think I can. I knew you were, and I was your provider. I'm not allowed to say that, but I'm not your provider. I'm just your friend. So I'm telling
Right.
everybody to send some amoxicillin your way just to see what happens.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea, but
Oh,
you live and you learn. I still go to work and still sell cars, so sorry if anybody gets strep, but I got to make money.
yeah. So John got stuck. I hope you sold a car last night. We were going to try to broadcast from pregame from the NFL Monday Night Football Ravens Lions, but we weren't able to get on last night. So we apologize to our listeners for being a day late. But we are here tonight to discuss, obviously, now that we have the results of said game, the not so lovely results. We'll be talking about that this evening. John, did you sell the car?
Yes, yes,
Okay, good, 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 good,
yes.
good things.
I did. So that it was worth staying late, and I didn't get. And I taped the game. I ordered Fubo, even though I have cable at my condo. I got Fubo, and just so I could record some of the games, just in case I had ran into some issues like this.
Sure. Well, good. I'm glad you got to see the game. You might not be as glad as
I'm
I am.
not. I'm
Yeah.
not.
So I
I
think,
didn't want to watch that.
let's not beat around the bush too much longer here. Let's dive into the Ravens 38-30 loss on Monday night to the Lions. I think obviously their first home loss of the season. It brings the Ravens record to 1-2, and they're running the gauntlet early on this season, right? Because they've played Buffalo in Buffalo. You get a little layup with Cleveland at home, and then you get Detroit, one of the better teams in the NFL, and then you got to go to Kansas City. And after that, you still have the Rams and the Texans, both of which were in, I think, at least the divisional round last year of the playoffs. So things don't get easier for the Ravens. Well, tell me what you thought about the game Monday night, John.
It made me sick to my stomach. Like Lamar had, I didn't see the exact number of dropbacks, but he was under pressure 30 times with 7 sacks. And now, okay, people are going to say, well, it's because he's holding the ball too long. He's doing this, that, the other. No, one maybe he was holding the ball too long, but the other ones, there's guys in his face before he even has time to set his feet and look downfield. So I'm gonna place this blame in 2 places. This blame is going to go on the offensive line on the offense, and it's going to go on the entire defense on the other side, not stopping the run. They just 2 drives over 95 yards. Stout freaking punted the ball and pinned them deep inside their 5-yard line. And all they got to do is stop a couple runs, and then they couldn't do it. And I looked at the grades from Pro Football, and it's terrible. I mean, the entire starting front 7 was in the 20s. Outside of what's his face that we picked up off the scrap heap, the nose tackle,
John Jenkins.
But I'm looking here at the Pro Football grades for these guys, and they're terrible. It's 20. Humphrey 30, Broderick Washington 29.9, Hamilton 29.9, Roquan 27.9, and Travis Jones 26. Like, Smith played so well against the Browns. And then what happened?
So, John, give everybody a little bit of perspective. What does that grading system look like?
It's based on things like as far as I know, it's based on things like missed tackles, number of tackles, number of snaps played. I don't know exactly. Let me research it. But what did you think, Mike? What was your take?
Yeah, so I'm similar with you, John, on the fact that you can't place this loss on Lamar's shoulders squarely. Do I think he had his best game as a Raven? No, but I think he played well enough for the Ravens to win. If you look at the trenches, that's where the battle was won Monday night. It was an issue of offensive line not being able to get any push up front at all for the Ravens as far as pass blocking or run blocking is concerned, really. And the defensive line really being porous at best, trying to stop the run. And, John, you said this, but I would agree with you. They missed Justin Madubuike so much last night, clogging holes in the middle of the line. Travis Jones did his best. I saw him a couple times taking on double teams, but he just doesn't do the same work taking on that double team. Additionally, you miss that rotational piece when you're losing some of these guys. You lose a Van Noy in a rotation on the defensive end. You lose a Madubuike rotating in that center, and everybody else is a little more tired. And then you're out there for 8, 9, 10-minute drives, and you've got less pieces rotating in and out. Now you have a gas defense that's not stopping anybody, and that's why David Montgomery ran for, 12 yards a clip last night, and they made it look easy. And when Detroit can run the football, that opens the play-action passing game up, and they can hit every element of their offense, and that's what we saw, and the Ravens weren't able to stop, and that was my biggest fear is, you have to be able to stop the run and run the football in big games in the NFL, and the Ravens could do neither, and every time a big play came up, a 4th down play or a play that the Lions need to have, they converted it, and they did a good job. And kudos to the Lions coaching staff because they were prepared. They were ready for the big game. They were embarrassed the last time they were in Baltimore when they came into town and we destroyed them. And they came ready with a chip on their shoulder to play. And the Ravens lines did not. And it was obvious. And maybe a little bit of the Cleveland Browns defense wore us out because they were good. They proved that this weekend, right? Go ahead and holding Green Bay to 10 points and getting the victory. I think that was impressive from Cleveland to show that the Ravens putting up some numbers on Cleveland actually meant something because of the fact that the Browns defense is stout. But I think that's a tough game to come off of and then expect them to hold down a Detroit Lions offense that's really, really a high-soaring, high-flying offense was too tough for the Ravens at this point with the injuries that they had.
Absolutely. And I just looked up what PFF grade is. It evaluates every player on every play, not just the outcome. So it's not going to evaluate. It's going to evaluate like you miss an interception, if you miss a tackle, if you miss, what happens on the play, not exactly the outcome. So, and it grades them on a 100 point scale. They get like a 2 point, a negative 2 point, or a 0.5 point, depending on what happens. And then an analyst goes over the game, watches each player, and gives them the grade based on the actions that are happening in the plays. So, the low grades on defense show that we missed a lot of I think we missed over 20 tackles. We just couldn't stop, and it seemed to be that kind of 15 to 20 yard pass too that kind of ate us alive. We were kind of playing, they were talked about on the broadcast, they were kind of playing like an umbrella shell defense, and Goff was just finding the difference or the distance between the linebackers and the defensive backs, and they were just kind of sitting in there. We talked about the other day about Laporta, and we said he was going to be a big one. And I don't have the stats in front of me, but the last time I remember, he had 3 catches for 36 yards or something like that, or 33 yards, and he didn't catch that many passes, but it seemed like every pass he caught was for a first down in an opportune time.
Yeah, and I think my question to you, John, and I made some observations too. I was talking to my friend Doug at work today. It's like, is it a Zach Orr issue? Is it a schematic issue, or is it a personnel issue? Being that they were down a couple of major names, right? You don't have Jair Alexander, you don't have Mads up the middle, you don't have Van Noy on the outside, and that certainly obviously has an impact on your defense. But is it a fact that we're playing that bracketed kind of system in the back where you're playing a cover 2 or however that looks, or the way that the Ravens are blitzing, like almost they're showing blitz and blitzing a lot, and then they're pulling back but not getting enough depth on their drops where they're kind of getting between the linebackers, like you said, and the safeties? Is it, and a lot of it seems to me as a symptom of we can't generate a pass rush with 4 players. So, like, if that's the case, then we're always trying to go and hide our deficiencies. But that's my opinion, John. Do you think it's more of a scheme issue or a personnel issue at this point?
I think it's a scheme issue, because if you look at the way they were doing things in the past, right? Ravens played a lot of man-to-man coverage. We played a lot of man-to-man coverage, and then we were able to send a linebacker or two and still cause some problems in the backfield. But now you look, they're playing that like umbrella zone sort of style. I think it could be wrong, but I think they call it a Tampa 2 with the 2 deep safeties and then trying to keep the plays in front of you from underneath. But I think also that it's just a matter of we got to figure out how to get pressure with the front. We talked about this, I think, a number of weeks ago, that the back end doesn't show up because the front end can't get enough pressure. And you can only cover for so long. And if the front 4 aren't getting pressure, then you can't expect them to hang with receivers forever. And if they can't get pressure, then a zone defense is worthless because they're just going to pick you apart.
Well, as a fellow dad bod, no one wants our back end to show up. I'm just saying that out loud, just so everyone understands. We want to keep all those things covered, just like the Ravens should try to keep some receivers covered, and they struggled with that again last night. Let's turn to the offensive side of the ball, John. And again, typical in Ravens losses, there's kind of a fourth quarter fold where the Ravens did not make the big plays. They had a turnover. They were unable to kind of catch fire when they needed to at the end of the game and kind of turn it on. And we've seen this in the losses recently. So what do you attribute to the fourth quarter, not really meltdown, but just the inability to sustain or the inability to continue with the success they had in previous quarters?
It seems a lot like the offensive line just gets tired, or they lose focus, or they lose, whatever it is in that fourth quarter. Because, a lot of this comes down to like I said earlier, a lot of this game comes down to the offensive line. The fact that Lamar was taking pressure on 30 of his dropbacks, you can't expect him to be able to do anything with the offense. And then, Andrews had a good game. Well, I'll give that out there that he had a kind of breakout game. His first 2 games, I think he had 3 catches. Last night, I think he had 9 for 91 and 2 touchdowns and something. But,
Yeah,
now
he had
Derrick
6 for
Henry.
91. Yep.
6 for 91. Thank you. 6 for 91. But Derrick Henry again fumbled the ball, lost it. But part of the thing is he's getting hit really, really early. So again, I'm going to say this. The guy that the offense is missing the most is Pat Ricard. The 85 with the 2 last names is not Pat Ricard. He's not a blocker.
84. Yeah.
What's his Perez?
Bella.
The Perez is a Hispanic name, isn't it? I don't know.
It's Padden something. I can't. He's a glorified tight end that they're using as a fullback that was on the practice squad not too long ago, but he's no Pat Ricard.
Right, and that I think is like I said before, Pat Ricard takes that first hit and allows Henry to get to the second level. What we have now is not allowing Henry to get to this first hit in the second level. His first hit is getting hit in the backfield, and that's causing a lot of problems in the run game. I mean, he had a couple good runs. He had that 20 some odd yard touchdown run, but I really think they're missing Ricard because he eats up blockers and just sort of does what the defensive tackles do for Roquan. When Roquan has good games, it's because the defensive tackles eat the blockers up. And I think hopefully he can come back soon. Or we promote the guy from West Point, the fullback. Was it from West Point or Navy? I don't remember.
Zaire Padden Mitchell is the guy you're talking about, number 84. Yeah. He's 6'5", 257, John, but Pat Ricard weighs 300 pounds. I mean, there's a little difference in, like, I'm not a big lifter, but if you throw 25 pounds on each side of the bar more and you ask me to lift it up, it's going to be a lot more difficult to push through that. So, yeah, I think that's the difference there without Pat Ricard lead blocking in a lot of these plays.
Absolutely. I don't know. Have you seen anything as to when he's coming back? It's a calf injury or it's a lower extremity injury, isn't it?
Yeah, I haven't seen. I'm hopeful, obviously, in a physical game against a team like Kansas City. That would be if you were to get one guy back, I feel like that would be the one that would make a huge impact for us, moving forward. So I hope that Ricard's ready to go next week in Kansas City. So that actually leads me to my next point, John. They have to recover. They have to have a goldfish memory here that the flush this game, that wasn't their best game, obviously. The Ravens haven't had too many games like this recently in the last couple years. They've lost some late leads. They've lost some games maybe they should have won, but they haven't really lost a game where they played this poorly in a long time. Do you think they have the ability to rebound this week against a tough opponent in Kansas City in one of the toughest places to play in the NFL at Arrowhead? Or do you think this could be something that puts us in a 1-3 hole and then we're really trying to work out of it and we might be just counting our blessings that we could stay in it because Joe Burrow's out for, 3 months. So what do you think?
I'm very worried about this Sunday. I'm worrying that it's going to be a lingering thing here as to what's happening with our defense, because that's where this all starts, right? Is this? I mean, we started with the defense not being able to stop them, and this is the first time in NFL history that a team has put up this many points and not had a winning record. I mean, we put up 111 points in 3 games, which is like unheard of, but it's the first time that this has happened. So, there comes a point in time where you can't blame the offense. That this all comes. Unfortunately, this is not something we're used to in Baltimore. But we need to freaking blame that defense because they're the ones giving up 40-some points. They're giving up 38 points, and you can only expect Lamar and the offense to do so much.
Yeah, I'm not quite as worried as you are, John. Like I am concerned. I am concerned. And the run defense is the thing that concerns me the most because if Andy Reid sees a weakness, he'll find a way to exploit it. So to me, if I'm Andy Reid and I watch what Detroit just did to the Ravens, it's a heavy diet of Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco until we show them they can stop it because let's be honest, their wide receiving core is nothing like what the Detroit Lions has right now, especially due to the fact that they have some injuries with Xavier Worthy. I don't know if he's going to be able to play. They have Rashee Rice, who's out on suspension, and they're playing guys like Hollywood Brown, and so I'm not 100% sure they have the weapons that Detroit had to take advantage of the Ravens defense the same way. So the other angle, John, is we've played two really, really good offenses. Yeah, I got to keep that in mind too. When we talk about how bad our defense is, think about how many other defenses are going to give up a lot of points to Buffalo and Detroit, because those are two really good football teams. Now, if we want to call ourselves a Super Bowl contender, got to find a way to fix some of those things. But you also got to remember Detroit just gave up 30 points to the Ravens, and Buffalo just gave up 40 points to the Ravens. So we do know how to score the football. We just have to get our defense to a point where we're serviceable enough or are able to make a big play once in a while, which is also one of my major concerns with our defense, not being able to turn the opponent over.
Yeah, that is definitely true. Because I think we have I think we just have that fumble recovery for a touchdown. I think, if my memory serves me correctly, that's the only turnover the defense has all season. I don't think we have any interceptions. I think it's just that one Roquan fumble. I'll have to double check that, fact checked it, but yeah, I think, and here's the thing that I watched Kansas City's game on Sunday a little bit, and there's a few pluses for us. Like, Kelce does not look like Kelce. His routes don't look as crisp. There was a couple plays where Mahomes threw him the ball, and clearly they were out of sync. One of them didn't go the right direction and things. So that used to be kind of the Kansas City thing, was you got to watch out for Kelce, and then the wide receivers then take advantage of you having to send an extra guy to Kelce. But I think right now, if you can shut the run down in Kansas City, the passing game is not that great just because they have all those injuries. Kelce's 35. He's getting ready for a wedding and all those sorts of things,
Nate Wiggins had a 61-yard interception return this season as well. So that's the only other turnover the Ravens
Thank
have.
you. I forgot about that.
Year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, but honestly, in 3 games and with all the John Harbaugh preaching about turnovers and the importance of turnovers and having the TVs in the castle projecting, how many turnovers during the practices preseason and how they were doing points and how everything was focused on turnovers, I have not seen the impact of that on the field. And it seems like the other teams figure out a way to punch the ball out or sneak up from behind or do something to create turnovers. And that is the one area that this Ravens team, if they can create sudden change and give Lamar Jackson a short field, they're going to take the team to the complete next level, because we can't just exchange points for points every single drive, especially if you're not going to stop somebody a 3-and-out once in a while. So I think that would be the biggest thing for me. Can they stop the run in Kansas City? Can they force a turnover or two? And that can keep them in a lot of games. And that will change the dynamic of the team.
Absolutely. Well, and I guess on the positive note, the special teams look pretty decent. Ali's going to be going to kangaroo court this week for getting tackled by the kicker. But other than that, I mean, Loop looked good. Stout looked good. Coverage looked good. We had a few good returns and things. So, if we're going to look at a plus side of this game, the special teams at least look decent. And I was very impressed with Stout's punting, because there was talk I heard on 105.7 The Fan. They were a couple months back. They're like, well, Stout's really got to prove himself this year because he just hasn't done it. But I think Monday night he proved what he can do and how good of a punter he can be.
Yeah, and Tyler Loop did a good job. That one field goal, I'm not sure went through the uprights, but I mean, thank goodness for the guy standing directly underneath the upright who gave us the old hallelujah. Because I was thinking, man, what a bad time to miss a field goal, especially since it wasn't that long of a field goal. But I'm glad he was able to sneak that in. The other worry, but it's really been, I think, all over across the board just watching NFL games, is these kickers are having trouble finding that landing zone that they keep talking about, where they're having trouble either not hitting it into there or kicking it out of bounds and giving the other team the ball at the 40-yard line. I saw that a bunch of times this weekend, John. What is your thought on that?
Yeah, I did too. And I was listening to they had a kicker on one of the shows. I don't remember which show it was, but he was like, it's tough because you don't want to kick it high and get into landing zone where they can get a running start with the catch, but you don't want to kick it out of the back of the end zone and put them at the 35. So you're trying to find like a happy median between kicking it deep enough, but also like kicking it on the ground so they have to try to, take the extra second to bend down and pick the ball up. So it's a very kind of, I don't know. I've never been a kicker. I know you were a soccer guy. I'm sure you kicked a few footballs back in your day, but it's probably, I mean, we could talk about as armchair quarterbacks, but I don't think it's an easy thing to do by any stretch of the imagination.
No, especially because directionally, you don't want to give them both sides of the field either. If you kick it straight down the middle, you're giving that returner an opportunity to kind of go any way you want. I mean, I think about it in most sports, you really try to pin them on one side of the field, use the sideline as an extra defender and try to pin them back. So I think you add that element to it, and now you're kicking to a specific yardage. That's like it's almost like a golfer where you're trying to hit your 7-iron instead of your 3-iron, and that is not as easy as it sounds to weight a pass. Like in soccer, we talk about the weighting of your pass, how hard you hit it or how much force you put behind it. To be able to do that as a kicker is a skill a lot more in use now that they have this landing zone based on those guys who used to just bust it through the end zone and just kick it as hard as they possibly could and try to score a field goal on the kickoff. So it's definitely brought an element to the game that's a little bit different. I've actually really enjoyed that piece of the game because it's broughton's not a word. It has brought special teams back into play, which has been really cool. So John, I have a couple of things to go through about this weekend's NFL. What I'm going to ask you I want to do a few hot takes for you, okay? And the question is, are you with me? So You're either with me or you're not. I'm not saying that this is what I believe, but I'm gonna give you a few hot takes here, and I just want you to say you're with me or you're not. First one is Daniel Jones is back, baby, and the Indianapolis Colts are back and for real, and they are heading to the playoffs.
I think so. I think
you are with me. Then are you with me?
I'm with you. Yes.
Oh man,
I'm with you. I think giving him that running game has just changed what he's had to do. Because in New York, he had nothing. It was the him show.
So I think he had Saquon Barkley in New York, but I think their offensive line was hot garbage. But now you get an offensive line
is garbage.
The Colts are great, right? Their offensive line is one of their strengths. And you're seeing not only does he have a running game because of a solid offensive line, but he also has some time to pass, and he has some play action opportunities that he kind of lost after that one season where he was really hot in New York.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's curious because I would not have picked him up in fantasy football, but I think he's a hot pickup right now. So, John, I know you're struggling. Maybe he's a guy you go and get if he's not available.
I need wide receivers. I have 3 wide receivers who are out on the IR or out for 3 to 5 weeks. Evans.
Yeah, my room just got decimated. Do you have CeeDee Lamb?
Mm-hmm. And Mike Evans.
Yeah, Mike Evans. Yep, that's one of my teams. I have both those guys. I was on pace to win this weekend, and then got beat by 20 points because those guys left. But anyway,
Fritz ended up beating me.
Oh,
that Lion, isn't he a Lions fan?
Oh yeah, yep. We got a text today from our friend Fritz. Congratulations, Jeremy, to your Lions. They played really well this weekend. Hopefully, we'll see you in the Super Bowl. We can get some revenge. Are you with me, John? The Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen is the MVP again this year.
Nope.
No, you're not with me.
No, he won't be the MVP. I don't think they'll give it to him 2 years in a row.
Who is it?
I don't know yet, but I don't think it's Josh Allen yet.
Man, you're too early to tell. Josh Allen. Oh my gosh. All right. Here we go. Next one, John. Special teams ruled the weekend. Did it not?
Absolutely.
Did you see the big plays?
Yes.
All right.
18.9 miles per hour on a guy 330 pounds. That's a runaway freight train. You saw the Eagles game, right?
Yes, isn't that crazy? So back to those Eagles, fly Eagles fly. The Eagles, I think, are something ridiculous, like 19-1 in their last 20 games. It's something crazy like that. Can they keep this train rolling and have an undefeated season?
No. I don't. I just think that week in and week out, NFL teams are just too evenly matched. I think there's going to be a week where they have a bad game or, a costly turnover or something. I just think it's not going to happen again.
The Cincinnati Bengals are out of it because Joe Burrows is out for 3 months. There's no chance the Bengals hang around the AFC North. Are you with me?
I'm with you.
Okay.
100%.
Why? They just can't overcome that. You saw the real Browning this week. What was your thoughts?
I don't know if I saw that. The real Browning.
Yeah, the backup quarterback for Cincinnati. Do you think you saw his true colors this weekend when they got destroyed by Minnesota, or what?
Yeah, no, I think so. I think I didn't really watch that game. I didn't see many of the highlights. Just some of my Vikings fans or Vikings friends pages, But I just don't think Cincinnati is a prayer.
There were no highlights really for the Bengals in that game.
The Bungles,
for the most part. Correct. All right. Last one, John. Last one. Let's talk NFC here for a second. You know what? No, I give one more AFC. Let's go to the Chargers. They're off to a hot start at 3-0, all divisional wins. The Chargers will win the AFC West, even though they lost Najee Harris for the year with an Achilles injury, I believe, this weekend.
I think so. I think there's a lot of people picking the Broncos to win the AFC West, and I don't think they've come out and performed the way that people thought. But I like the way that San Diego's playing. I've seen a couple of their games. Herbert's playing next level right now, and I think they'll be able to overcome. It's much easier to lose a running back than it is to lose a quarterback. So I could easily see this happening.
Are you saying the Broncos don't have the horses? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes.
I love
they don't
puns.
have the horses.
Anyway, so my thought here, last thing, let's go to the NFC. The San Francisco 49ers are 3-0, but nothing too impressive. Are they still the team to beat in the NFC West? And are they going to be a Super Bowl contender? Are you with me?
They're not going to be. I think the injury to Bosa is going to be huge. And I don't know if they can overcome that. And then, I'm sure McCaffrey's going to get banged up, and I don't think their season's going to end up well now.
So, who is it? The Rams division to win there? I mean, Cardinals are banged up now that James Conner's out for the year, and the Seahawks trounced a really bad, I think, Saints team this weekend.
I think it's going to be the Rams.
Teams that have a possibility to jump up, but who do you think it is?
The Rams. I think they have the veteran leadership on that team. Bringing Devontae Adams in there. I think it's going to be the Rams division to lose now.
All right, let's do one Ravens one just for fun.
I don't want to talk about the Ravens.
Need defensive line help. They make a huge trade before the trade deadline to either get a defensive edge rusher or to get a defensive lineman in the middle to clog some holes.
They're going to have to. I think Clowney signing with the Cowboys really kind of took the Ravens for a little bit of a loop. So, yeah, they're going to need to get defensive line help in some way, shape, or form.
Yes. Okay, and I'm with you. Somebody from like a Saints team, maybe a Cam Jordan, something like that. Somebody on the edge to help this Ravens pass rush, which is, I think I had as many sacks as the Ravens team did, on Monday night. So I think that's clearly an area of need. And knowing the fact that the Ravens team this year is all in it to win it, I would think that they need to make some type of move on that line to shore it up. Even though Matabike hopefully returning at some point soon would help as an addition there. All right, let's John, tell everybody where they can find us.
So it's scrolling across the bottom of our screen here. You can find us at on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Dad Bods Crab Cakes and Sports. You can find us on the X at crabcake_sports. You can always email us at dadbodscrabcakesandsports@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. You also find us on your morning drive on Apple, Spotify, iHeartMedia, or wherever you get your podcast. Please like, follow, share. It really helps us spread the word about Baltimore sports, dad bods, and our favorite food, nation and worldwide.
All right, awesome. John, what do you got over there? It sounds like there's a snake slithering across your table. Is there something? Is everything okay over there? Should we be hiding your children?
I don't know. Everything looks good here.
Okay, good. All right. All right, so we have ballpark figures this evening for you, John, and I picked something right in your ballpark. As a huge baseball fan, I know that's probably your preference, and so I stuck with Major League Baseball, and today's category is MLB Hits Leaders 2025. Who has the most hits in the major leagues right now? Top 10 list. So John's job is to identify the top 10 players in hits right now in Major League Baseball. And there are some stars and studs on this list, John. So if you stick to chalk, you should do pretty well in this ballpark figures. We'll give you 3 strikes, and if you're struggling, I'll try to help you along as you're all by yourself today because, as we forgot to mention, Jason, he's going to decide he's going to take a little vacation with his family in some mountains somewhere, John, and I think he's probably making a campfire and doing some s'mores right now. So
probably. So let's go with Aaron Judge.
So Aaron Judge, is he a top 10 hits leader? He is not in the top 25. Oh, wait, I lied to you. He did it. You did it, John. I scrolled by him. He is number 8 with 170. Good job.
So let's see. Is Altuve on this list?
Is his name Altuve, or is that his whole name?
I believe it's just his last name. I believe he has a first name. It's like It's like Jose. It's like a national anthem. It's about a Spanish guy. Remember that for Angels in the outfield?
John, this is how we get into trouble, buddy. Let's say no to Jose. No way, Jose.
No way, Jose.
Strike 1.
Okay.
So let me just talk you through this a little bit. There are 3 people, then 3 tied for 4th, 7, 8, 9, and 10. They've all changed in the last 24 hours since I came up with this, and this is live, so you got to hang with me here.
Let me think.
So number 10 on this list has changed 3 times since I originally researched it.
It probably changes 3 times every night too.
Right.
Depending.
It's like me in my bed, and the positions flipping and flopping and turning and twisting and grabbing the other side of the pillow to reach for the coolness. That's what the MLB hits race is like. Yeah.
Let's think about this. Oh, I have no idea. Let's see here.
Hands check, John. Hands check.
Right here.
All right.
I'm thinking.
The top 3 are shortstops.
Okay. What about Bobby Witt?
He's number 3 with 174. Junior.
Okay.
The older one pitched, so it was not him.
Yeah. You said top 3 are shortstops?
I'd say you were quick-witted, but that was pretty slow-witted.
Yeah. What about Trey Turner?
Yes. Trey Turner is number 2 with 179 hits. This other shortstop also had a dad who played in Major League Baseball. He is the number 1
Tatis
overall.
Is a right fielder. What about
hit leader?
What's his name? His dad's first name, Bichette. What's his first name? Bo.
He knows
Bo
baseball.
Bichette.
Yes, Bo Bichette. 181 hits is the Major League Baseball hits leaders right now with what? They have 5 or 6 games left to play. Is that where
Nobody's
we're
going to
at?
cross 200.
Isn't that crazy?
That's insane. But remember, they're also not playing as many games and stuff. And yeah,
they're swinging for the fences also.
Right. Let's see, who else is on this list?
Somebody Mike really wants to join the Orioles and has talked about a lot.
Schwarber.
That's Jason's boy. And he is not on the list.
Oh.
He has a lot of hits over the fence. I think they call them dingers.
So let's think about this. So we got.
You have 1, 2, 3, and 8.
1, 2, 3, and 8. Oh. Who else? Oh, what's his face from Cleveland? What's his name? The outfielder. Stephen Kwan.
He just snuck in tonight. He wasn't there, but he's one of my guys. He's one of my 2 guys I've been banging the drum on.
Yeah, I know.
He has 168 hits.
Yeah, because he led the league in. Did he lead the league in hits? He led the league in hits at some point, or he was one of the leaders a couple years ago.
He's a perennial hits leader. He's a solid put the ball in play guy.
Yeah.
All right, so you have.
But that's not the guy you were clamoring for. Who are you?
That's not the. I have another guy that I've been talking about a lot, but apparently you're not a good listener.
Is it? Oh, what's his name? It's not that guy from the Rays you were talking. No.
There are. Let's see. There is, I should say, one Ray on this list. One ray of sunshine in the hits category.
Oh, what's his name? He used to play first base, and now he DHs most of the time.
He is a DH for the Rays.
What's his name?
His name starts and ends with the same letter.
Diaz. I don't remember what his first name is.
Yes, his last name does not start and end with the same letter. It is Diaz. His first name is Yandy. Yandy Diaz. He is tied for fourth with 173 hits.
Okay, so
all right, you're missing my guy out in San Diego and a Chicago Cub. You're missing a Mariner and a Blue Jay.
Rodriguez. Center fielder.
Julio Rodriguez, that's 171 hits. Bounce back season for Julio, yeah.
And then Vladdy
Jr., 169. He's at number 9. So Julio is 7, Vladdy's 9. So Rodriguez, Judge, Guerrero, Kwan are 7, 8, 9, and 10. You are missing 2 that are tied for 4th, a Cub and a Padre. One of them I have been banging the drum on for a long time.
And I can't think. I have no idea. I don't remember.
All right. So second baseman for the Cubs. Do you know who that is?
No, I don't remember.
Nico Horner. Horner. He has 173 hits as well. And Luis Arias.
Okay.
Padres. He's tied for 4th also with 173 hits. Guys who were knocked out recently. Shohei Ohtani is number 11 with 167 hits. Frankie Lindor, 167 hits. And Matt Olson with 167 hits.
I thought about Shohei, but then I'm like, does he get enough at bats to do it? But very good, Mike.
So you guys did a good job. You guys, meaning just you by yourself, John, and whoever else is thinking up there in your brain. Well done. you needed a little help, but I think overall you had the general gist of things.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball season is coming to an end, and I think this is a good time to maybe talk about a little bit of the playoff races because I really am excited about this Tigers Guardian series because it seems like that's the series that's going to determine who wins the AL Central. I know Jason and I both predicted that the Guardians would stay in it, even after being maybe mild sellers at the deadline. We just thought that they had the roster to compete still in that AL Central, and Detroit has fallen off a cliff. And they are battling for their playoff lives at this point now, I think, for the most part, but I think they're still going to make it. It's just a matter. They have Skubal pitching tonight, I thought, if I'm not correct, John. I don't know if you took a look at the score for that one.
Let me see here.
I mean, Skubal starting in the most important series of your season is probably not a bad thing to have going for you, considering they have a 3-game series that. And I think they started the night 1 game back. Maybe Cleveland did of the Tigers in the AL Central.
So their record so Cleveland won tonight.
Wow.
So now they're tied. They have the same record, but the Guardian. So Skubal lost.
Wow.
He gave up 3 in this. So he was up 1-0. Or no, he was up 2-0 going into the 6th. Gave up 3 in the 6th and 2 in the 7th. Wow. Oh, no, he didn't. He went 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 8 strikeouts. But how did he get the – I don't understand how he got the loss because –
did they score an unearned run while when he came
They
out?
must have. That's the only – let me see.
Interesting. Well, I mean, while you're looking that up, John, also look at the Cincinnati Reds have really surged here in that NL wildcard race too, and have really, I think they were tied coming into the night with the Mets. It looks like they lost at home versus Pittsburgh tonight, but they are battling down to the wire here to try to make the playoffs. So there's some really good, end of the year series this week, and I love watching some meaningful baseball, even though it's not being played here in Baltimore.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm looking here now, as of 9:10 tonight. The Tigers would be the 6th seed, the Indians would be the 3 seed. They'd be playing. So this is kind of interesting, Mike. In the AL, it's all division series. Like the AL East and the AL Central are so the Yankees and the Red Sox are playing in the first wild card series, and then the Guardians and the Tigers are in the other series. Then the Jays are the 1st seed, and then Seattle is the 2nd seed. If a season
and that's the other team that I talked about personally that I thought was going to take off. I know Jason liked the Rangers. I like the Mariners an awful lot, and the season that Cal Raleigh has had is one for the ages, and the Mariners have really kind of taken a stranglehold on that AL West. I mean, it's not sewn up, I don't believe yet, but they're getting awful close. You got some good teams out there with Houston and Texas, obviously still battling for a postseason berth. But Seattle, man, what's your take on them?
I love it. I think that we talked about their pitching. I know early in the season we talked about their pitching staff, but then you look at the season that Cal Raleigh has had, and he's just a matchup nightmare, and then Rodriguez patrolling center field. Rosarena has a lot of playoff and big game experience with the Rays, so I could see them going a long way in the postseason if Raleigh can keep the hitting up and those sorts of things. But I think a guy like Randy Arozarena was something that the Orioles were missing, a guy with experience. And he was loved in Tampa. Like, they were really disappointed when he left because he's a good guy. But I think he is kind of maybe an unspoken plus for that Seattle team.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing on the flip side, if we're looking at Houston and Texas and their chances to maybe, especially Houston, to make a wild card run, it's like looking at today's standings. Can you imagine, the Detroit Tigers could fall completely out of the playoffs. They're a half game up on Houston right now. But considering the first half of the year they had, isn't that incredible?
Oh, it's insane. They Yeah, they are 1-9 in their last 10, and they've been on a 7-game losing streak. They have so get this, Mike. They have the second highest. Let me see. I get this right. So they have the first highest run differential at plus 70 in the AL Central. The rest of the division is all in the negative. And they're still losing 7 games. Then you look at the AL East, the Orioles are in last place in the East with a negative 104 differential. The Blue Jays have a 66, Yankees 144, Red Sox 105, and Rays 49. But, yeah, I mean, the Tigers just, I know they can't, sort of like the Ravens. They can score the points, but they can't put the games away.
Yeah, I can't thinking of I think I might be a little bitter about the Lions loss, so I'm trying to throw shade at Detroit. But I'm just looking at the standings. June 29th, I just went to the end of June. The Tigers were 53-32. The Guardians were 40-42. 11 and a half games back of Detroit since June 29th. So we're talking about the beginning of July. Look at that collapse. That has to be one of the all-time collapses in MLB history. If they don't make the playoffs, I might have to keep an eye on my friend Jeremy and make sure he's okay down in Florida, because he's a Tigers and a Lions fan. Happy about the Lions, but the Tigers might, and he loves baseball. Tigers might eat him alive.
Yeah, the Astros are only a half game out. Yeah, I mean, there is a situation though, Mike, where the Astros, Tigers, and Guardians all get in, and the Red Sox don't. Even the Yankees, there's a chance that the Yankees and Red Sox both don't get in, and the Guardians, Tigers, and Astros all do get in.
Well, I like that it comes down to the last week of the season. It's exciting. It gives you something to look at. We talked about the Orioles. They're kind of playing out the string right now. The last time I checked, they were winning 6-0 over Tampa at home. It's the last home series. I think we saw that Adley Rutschman was reactivated again for this last kind of week of the year. I'm unsure, John, about, if that's really necessary. And I'm just curious on what your take, is this more for Adley? Is this for the team? Is this for momentum? What is the purpose to activate Adley now with only probably 6 games left on the slate?
Well, like I've been saying, is Adley could be a very valuable trade piece to get one of those top end starters or big bats that we desperately need. So I almost wonder if they're showcasing him, that he is 100% healthy, that he is the player that he was the previous 2 years, and they're going to try to deal him in the offseason. Or the other thing is they want to get him some at bats, and they're going to get him into that momentum, as Jason just said.
So look, I don't understand, John. I don't agree with you. I don't see why they would try to showcase him for 2 series, because that's a real crapshoot. Right now he's 0 for 3 with a strikeout. So do we really want to judge Adley Rutschman's trade value on 6 games? I don't think that's what the Orioles are doing. To me, it's more like what you just said, and maybe what Jason said, is it's about trying to get, this might be the closest we see to, if you looked at the lineup tonight, it might be the closest you see to what they might have going into next year with all these young guys in it. You have Mayo, Basayo, Beavers, you have Adley, you have Gunnar, you have Westberg, finally all together in the same lineup, which is really interesting to me to see those guys and to kind of give them a whole couple series here to play at the end of the year. maybe as a glimpse and a positive glimpse to fans as to what the future might be, more so than showcasing Adley for some type of potential trade. Not saying, John, that he's not going to be traded or that's not a possibility. I just don't know that that's the angle. I think it's more of let's get him some at bats and see how he's doing. But I also think they probably could have just shut him down for the rest of the year, and I don't think it's too much of a difference, honestly.
Yeah, I can understand that part of stuff. I mean, you got 2 weeks left, and what if he gets hurt again and he's out all next season? Like, I just was thinking about that. Was okay. He's been hurt almost half the season. I haven't seen him. I didn't look and see how many games he played, but he's just asking for another injury. And you have Basayo, you have Jackson, you have the catchers. You don't need him for behind the plate, so it just doesn't make a lot of sense unless it's like I said, for like what Jason said, is they want to get his bat in the lineup and try to get some momentum and things going forwards. But otherwise, it's just it doesn't make sense. And if he's not completely healthy, and then he, goes out and gets hurt again, and he's out for an extended period of time, does he end up like Gunnar this year, where Gunnar was out the first month and a half of the season and took forever to get rolling?
Yeah, and so Adley's played in 85 games this year. It's a 162 game season. So honestly, that's about half of the games. And I think, and there was an article recently, what are the biggest disappointments in Major League Baseball? And Adley Rutschman was listed as one of the most disappointing players in Major League Baseball altogether across the league this year. It's really hard to argue with that, considering the amount of time he's played and considering the results when he has played. John, do you have any thoughts on that at all?
Yeah, I think so, because you look at the previous couple of years when he was he an All-Star 2 years in a row, I think, or was it? Yeah, he was. Yes. He was in Seattle, and then he was in Texas the next year. But again, I'm going to bring this point up again, and I brought it up before. Adley's going to have to show next season is going to be the big one, because I think he's eligible for arbitration in 27. So he's going to prove if he's just another Jason Varitek with a little bit better bat, or if he's actually going to be a perennial all-star. He's going to be one of the better all-time switch hitting catchers, which he was on track for, and then all of a sudden the rails came off, and then look what's happening now to us. But I mean, I think he's going to be important if we, obviously if we keep him, which I hope we do, but with the pitching staff, because I think but he hasn't been playing, and look how Rogers and the rest of the pitching staff has done without him too. So that argument I just counteracted myself there.
Yeah. So, and we just spoke about Rogers briefly, and that pitching staff has really done a nice job here in the tail end of the season. I feel overall, especially the starting rotation, the bullpen has been mix and match, but we knew after the trade deadline that the bullpen was really going to be a hodgepodge of pieces. How Elias picks guys up off the trash heap. He brings guys in for a game or two. He doesn't like it, and then he cycles some of these guys in and gives them opportunities late innings. I think you might find a diamond in the rough. I feel like a Dietrich Enns could be a guy like that kind of holds on and sticks for next year. But the bullpen has really been an issue for the team here in the last few weeks. But the starting pitching has been really good, and with that, Trevor Rogers was named Orioles MVP for this season. And I think, what he had, a 1.35 ERA in, I know he's only started probably half the amount of games as a lot of the of those who also would be considered in the ERA battle for the year. But for the time that he's played, how important has he been to this Orioles team, John?
Oh, immensely. I mean, you've been able to, send him out there and get 6, 7, 8 innings out of him. And that's saving your bullpen arms with the lack of bullpen arms that we have, like you just mentioned. So the more he's able to continue to do this, the more he's continue to get, high-end starts out there, 6, 7, 8 innings, then builds confidence in him, and then hopefully then that confidence then exudes itself to some of the other guys. We bring Bradish and Wells and everybody else, back off the disabled list next year. That if we can keep rolling this success into next season, then like we're talking about, we need another starter. But do you need to go out and spend, the Orioles probably won't ever do it, but $300 million on the next arm, because Rogers has proven himself that he can do it. He may be that top end starter that we were talking about needed to go get.
Yeah, and I think Mike Elias, in the midst of last year's trade deadline and picking up Trevor Rogers, who came here and just was a big old bust, and then after his injury this year, has looked every bit what we had hoped he would be in that playoff push, and even more potentially. I didn't even see this potential, but I'm happy that, and we have to give credit, as much as Mike Elias deserves a lot of the blame for this season, credit in that particular situation for going out and grabbing Trevor Rogers while he was in a buy low kind of mode, and did a really nice job in that trade. Despite, obviously, you see the results that Kyle Stowers is having in Miami and having a really, really good year. And Norby's kind of had an up and down season with some injuries. But I think overall, you can look at that trade and say at least push, right, John? If not, the Orioles win that trade because of the value of an arm versus the value of a bat.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a plus push. Like, I don't give the total advantage to the Orioles, but it's a push, if not just a little bit in the Orioles advantage, just because, like you said, a top end starter is very difficult to find, difficult to be able to draft, difficult to be able to develop. And when you're able to, send a ho-hum outfielder and a so-so guy to the Marlins to pick up a top end starter, that's 100% a huge advantage to the Orioles. Jason says it's an Orioles win by a long shot. I think he's talking about the Orioles.
No,
He just
I
says
would
win
think
by
so.
a long shot.
Jason was the one who told us to pump the brakes and kind of let's see how this thing develops. So I'm 100% sure Jason meant it's an Orioles win, not a Marlins win by a long shot. So thanks for chiming in, Jason. Those Smoky Mountains. Hope that you got your bear bag up high enough where nobody's gonna come get you and eat you, and you're enjoying the s'mores at the fire with your family and on your phone, just chiming in with us. We appreciate you hopping on this evening. John, I'm going to
Blue Ridge Mountains. I think it was the Blue Ridge Mountains.
What did I say?
The Smoky Mountains. I think the Smoky Mountains are in Tennessee. I thought Jason was in Georgia.
Okay, well, Jason can clarify in the chat, but he's somewhere in the mountains, and that's all that really matters to me. So we're looking, switch gears here a little bit, John. We talked Orioles. I'm kind of tired of talking Orioles. I kind of am ready for the offseason, willing to give Elias a shot to see what he's able to do, at least for one more offseason, and try to figure out, can he hire the right general manager? Can he actually go out and get a quality free agent that will push this team to the next level? Can he find the right pieces to fill the holes like a jigsaw puzzle, or is he just going to use this duct tape and Band-Aid method that he's used over the last couple seasons? So I'm hopeful that it's the former rather than the latter, where he finds the right puzzle pieces to fit into what's missing, and the Orioles can take a step forward in the 2026 campaign. So, John, a couple things happening in the world of sports before we go tonight I want to talk about, and that the first one is the Terps. There's some positive momentum around Maryland, and it deals with the football team, and it also deals in the basketball program, because I think had you talked to us right after the NCAA tournament last year, you and I and Jason were all up in arms about the issue with the Maryland coaching staff kind of just rolling out, and now you have a place where Kevin Willard lists in Maryland, but now you have Buzz Williams there doing a really good job on the recruiting trail, signing a 4-star for next year. I'm going to try to pronounce his name right, everybody. So just give me Adama Tambadou in the 2026 recruiting class. All right. So he is the number 2 player in Connecticut, the number 19 power forward, and the 108 national prospect, according to the 247 Sports Composite rankings. And he is now a Maryland commit for the 2026 season. So good job to Buzz. Anything you want to add about that Buzz down in College Park?
No, not really. I just the more I read about him and what he's doing, it just seems like, you know what, they found the right guy, I think, to help bring in these higher end recruits. And then did you see the picture of Steve Blake and his son the other day? And his, that's cool. I mean, I think he's a preferred walk on, but I don't, and if he doesn't play, he doesn't play. But it's still a good story there,
Yeah, I agree. So we have 3-star forward Austin Brown is the second member of the Maryland 2026 class. But they're hoping, obviously, Tambadou is not their final commit. Maryland has made the top 7 schools for 4-star forward Abdou Toure, the number 1 player in the state and number 33 player nationally. He would be the highest ranked recruit in 2026 if Maryland's able to nab him. So recruiting trail going well for Maryland basketball, and Maryland football is on fire right now, 4-0. And their first Big Ten matchup in Wisconsin, you think they're going to go up to Madison and get their rear end kicked as usual, because the Big Ten schools with their big beefy bodies usually just road grade us to death. And just kind of, we're known for the athletes and the guys on the outside, but we can never really hang with these Big Ten teams with the beef up top. But Maryland went in there and made a statement and came out with a 27-10 victory this weekend in Wisconsin. John, how's that make you feel?
Oh, it makes me feel very good. I think, I'm watching some of the highlights and things of the Maryland quarterback. I'm sorry for his name slipped my mind, but he's
Malik
young
Washington.
Malik Washington, thank you. Young guy, and he's playing well. Giving him time against that Wisconsin defensive front of guys, well over 300 pounds and athletic. Wisconsin always brings the linemen. They always bring the linemen. And the fact that, the Terps beat it out and they made a statement win there. But then I'm looking at their schedule from here on out. They host Washington, they host Nebraska, then they go to UCLA, then they have number 11 Indiana, at Rutgers, at 23 Illinois, then 19 Michigan comes in, and then they play at Michigan State to end the season. So there's a very real world where I think they end up over at 50% in the Big Ten. I think in what I've seen and read, they have a very good shot at a 50%, record in the Big Ten, which I think would be success for them.
Well, I mean, I think it takes 6 wins. Is that right, to become bowl eligible?
Yes.
So they are at 4 already. Washington and Nebraska are home games, so you're set up, at least at home in a tough matchup probably in each of those situations. UCLA is 0-3, and I believe they just fired their head football coach. So they're kind of in shambles right now. Indiana's really good. They just destroyed Illinois this weekend. And they look like they're the real deal. Rutgers gave Iowa a game, and they're going to be a tough out, especially on the road. Illinois, obviously, they're still ranked, even though they lost to Indiana, which is a good football team. So you got some tests still here. You have Michigan at home, which is nice, and not on the road, and at Michigan State. So the nice thing that you see on the schedule, right? No Ohio State, no Penn State. So now with this whole and no Oregon, you see with this rotating schedule, every once in a while things can come together where you don't have to play some of these amazing schools. The Terps have a legit shot maybe to get to 8 wins this year, which would give them a decent bowl game. And I don't know that we should be talking, playoff possibility for them to get to the playoff situation. It's not impossible, but they can't even crack the top 25 yet. I know they got other votes this week in a couple of the polls, but they're not quite there yet. If they pull off a couple more Big Ten wins, then we can start talking about getting the ball rolling beyond maybe a winning record. I
think so. If they can go, let's just say they go into Indiana with 1 loss and they don't get blown out 60 to 10, I think, or 60 to whatever it was. Again, the Indiana beat Illinois. I think if they can go into Indiana with 1 or less loss, make it a game in Indiana, then I think they're going to be getting some top 25 polling picks. They're going to be getting a little bit of national recognition. But yeah, you made a huge point there. When you don't have to play the Ohio State University and you don't have to play Penn State, that just took 2 losses off your record if you're the Terps.
All right, one more thing to cover, John, tonight, unless you have anything else, and I'm a golfer, so you know where my heart is right now. It's Ryder Cup season, and it is one of my favorite events in all of sports, and particularly in golf. When it's the U.S. versus Europe, and the U.S. is hosting this year at Bethpage Black in Farmingdale, New York. So we are the home team in the Ryder Cup this year. Super excited. It starts Friday, September 26th, and it goes over the weekend. They have the foursome matches, which they have the alternating shot, and then they have the 4-ball matches, and then obviously they have the singles matches always to end up. Always fun to watch the different formats and to see the different pairings that the different captains, come out with, and to kind of see, which matchups are the best. So the 45th Ryder Cup kicks off, obviously, like I said, on Friday. The scoring, obviously, each match is worth a point. If a match ends in a tie, each team gets half a point, and the competition consists of 28 total points. The first team to reach 14.5 points is the winner over the course of the matches. And if a tournament ends in a tie at 14 all, whoever won the cup previously would retain the cup. And Europe, I believe, has the cup right now, winning in Europe last time around.
Yeah, I don't really know much about the Ryder Cup, Mike. So don't even be. Who do you think? I don't follow. I don't have time to follow golf that closely.
Well, let's look at the roster. So Keegan Bradley captains the U.S. Okay, and he gets to pick some captains picks. 6 players automatically qualify. He has 6 captains picks. His roster consists of, and you'll know some of these names at least, John. Scotty Scheffler, heard of him, right?
Yes.
J.J. Spawn, Xander Schauffele, Russell Henley, Harris English. It's funny that a guy named English is battling for the U.S. And you have Bryson DeChambeau, Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Ben Griffin, Cameron Young, Patrick Cantlay, and Sam Burns. So, decent squad. Looking at Team Europe, we've got Rory McIlroy. Heard of that fella? He's pretty good. Robert McIntyre, Tommy Fleetwood, Justin Rose, who is a vet of this event, Rasmus Højgaard, Tyrell Hatton, Shane Lowry, John Rahm, Sepp Straka, Victor Hovland, Ludwig Aberg, and Matt Fitzpatrick to round out the British team. And if you're looking at Ryder Cup records, Europe has a lot more experience overall, I believe. But the U.S. does have the home field advantage, which is exciting. I took a look at the course, and, there are some shorter holes, but there are some longer holes too. I'm looking at some of these holes thinking, as an average golfer, man, like, if you're looking at a 500-plus yard par 4, think of that, what that looks like off the tee. So, like, I hit maybe average 240 to 250 off the tee. If I have to hit it 520 on a par 4, that means I got to go 260, 260. That means I'm hitting driver, and then I'm hitting driver off the deck to have a chance to get to a par 4 and 2. So just the massive amount of respect you have for these guys and their game, playing from the tips and the distances that they're playing and the way they can control the golf ball. But I love just watching the pressure moments when you're not just playing for yourself, but when you're playing for your country, and who steps up in those great moments, those huge moments, and really loves and embraces the fact that it's team golf versus individual golf. And how different is that than the week in and week out tour events that these guys play in? And so for me, it's all about those. And I would love to see a close one. I obviously want to see the U.S. win, but I'd love to see a close one and someone to just make this amazing chip in or this amazing great putt on the last to give the U.S. the victory. But John, if you haven't ever watched the Ryder Cup, you don't know what it is, you got to tune in this weekend. It's amazing.
Well, I know what it is, and I know what it entails and everything like that. I just don't ever have time to follow. It's hard enough to try to follow like college football and stuff on Saturdays when I'm working, 12 hours a day on a Saturday. So it's very interesting to me though, and how there's a captain and there's vice captains, and then they all have, it's all in good fun. the thing that I've when I've watched it is it's a different type of golf than just sitting and watching the PGA on a Sunday afternoon. It's completely different.
I'm curious to
It's a
see how
lot
these
more
rookies
exciting.
respond. Like a Ben Griffin and he's a rookie. Cameron Young's a rookie. Like, how do they respond in these brand new moments? Who's going to be the next like Captain America? They like to come through and be the guy with the weight, puts all the weight on his shoulders, and he doesn't buckle under pressure. I mean, I'm just excited about it, John. You could see that in my demeanor right now. But I do love golf and I love the Ryder Cup. So to add to hopefully a Ravens victory versus the Chiefs this weekend, I'm going to be watching some Ryder Cup and some college football. Maryland's on a bye, by the way. Maryland football, I believe, is on a bye this weekend. Before you, like you said, that they have to face Washington at home, I believe, the following week. So lots of good sports to talk about this coming weekend. Obviously, the last week of the MLB season. Then we'll have some October baseball to discuss, which is always exciting. We can take a look and see how our predictions went and who made the playoffs and who didn't. I think we picked the Orioles a lot and we picked the Ravens a lot. So far, not so great. But we can really go back and take a look and see how Jason, myself, and you did. I'm sure Jason will be like, I'm the best. I did it all. I'm awesome. Look at mine. And you and I will be like, oh, we should have known better. And that's usually how these things go. But, John, anything you have to add before we sign off this evening?
Nothing this evening. We'll let you know on Facebook when we're going to release another episode. It'll probably be next Sunday evening, since we got kind of a late start this week.
Yes. So we appreciate you guys tuning in, whether it was on your ride to work on Wednesday morning or whether you were here with us Tuesday evening. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We talked sports, we talked Ravens, we talked Orioles. We'll continue to keep an eye on those birds. Hopefully we'll see them flying in the right direction here moving forward. If you can do us a favor and check us out wherever you get your podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, Apple, leave us a review. It really helps us out. 5-star rating, a like, and a follow. And we're trying to, like I said, spread the good news about Baltimore sports far and wide. Follow us on social media at DadBod Crabcakes and Sports. If you're watching us on YouTube, it's scrolling down on the bottom there. Or if on Facebook Live, you can see it down the bottom. Other than that, you can find us at DadBod's Crabcakes and Sports at gmail.com. And we'll get back to you with thoughts, ideas, or anything that you have to bring to the show. But until next time, keep rocking those dad bods, eating those crab cakes, and never miss the game.
Adios.